Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter @ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source and bringing you our weekly local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS member faculty call is going to be Wednesday, February 13th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Now, this week, we've got a busy week. You know, sometimes you can get on these calls and we really don't have a heck of a lot, and so I got to find different information that, you know, to be able to bring some worth to these calls. But this week, well, there seems to be a lot that's happening in local. It's really nice to see. You know, I've been in local internet marketing since 2005. Around 2009, it really started to take a change. And when I think back to 2005, it was like you get the deer in the headlight look when you start to mention to somebody. But not so much anymore. And the local marketing industry's momentum is just continuing to pick up. And you know, some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today, you'll see that it's the momentum is going to be strong for years to come. So this week, just to give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be talking about, Google's made some updates to its category tool. For third-party categories have been added, and some of the implications, I'll talk about that. But the future, as I was mentioning, the future of local, POS, if you know anything about POS, point of sale. Point of sale. I'm going to talk about some aspects of the point of sale and how that relates to local internet marketing, and that's really big. Microsoft, they're making some big investments into Foursquare. Is Microsoft going to buy Foursquare? Why would they want it, and how that's going to have the implications? And Google, with their manual penalties. One thing we've been talking about for quite, for about a year now is some structured markup and how spammy structured markup can hurt you. And even found on CNN, Nadella, Microsoft has a new CEO. What's interesting, for the first time between the three big guys that are out there, Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft, they're all now being led by CEOs that all come from a search background. It's interesting. It's exciting. And finally, I found something new. I did a search. You do a search for a music song, and bam! In the middle of the Google SERP, you get a YouTube video. So what's going on with that, and how can we capture some additional real estate space? Now, this week for a tip overview, I'm going to talk about profiles and give you guys a cheat sheet that you can download. Yeah, something you can follow along with, some of the best practices. There's been some discussion about it lately, so it's definitely go ahead and grab that download. Now, we still got some people coming in here. Got to be on time, guys. Got to be on time. If you haven't been into the LMS member Facebook group this week, get in there. Go take some time and spend some time on it. There are some really good discussions going on. Simon, he's talking about the outsourcing webinar found in the portal, and there's a really long discussion and good discussion about that. Simon goes ahead and asks, you know, what are some LMS members' experience utilizing different project management software? What project management software have you tried? And then I chime in and talk about the different software that we've used and how we manage our projects at One Marketing. Simon is also talking about local directory listings, different phone numbers, and some best practices. That's why we're going to have the tip this week. Carl is talking about some of the same stuff on the seven base locations and specific profile aspects. Eve has gotten in there. And she had a really interesting question that I haven't had a discussion on for quite some time on commercial probability. Um, Commercial probability goes back in the day where Bing had a tool, and you can determine the commercial probability of a keyword, essentially determine the value of that keyword. Yeah, it's like a lot of the tools out there, where they're getting their data from and what it wasn't anything that I implemented into my company at any point in time. Not that it's a really big deal. I kind of feel like that there's a lot of pressure or too much concern about keyword research for local businesses. I mean, and it is important. It is absolutely important to know. But when we start to think about different local businesses, what they do, a plumber, there's only so many different ways to say plumber, and that's your core keyword. That's your core term, is what we call it at Local Marketing Source. Then you've got what's called a core modifier. In the dentistry world, you may have teeth whitening. So there's only so many different ways to say dentist or dentistry. There's only so many ways to say teeth whitening or pediatric care or anything of that nature. Then, of course, the third component of a keyword is a geomod, or a geographical modifier. So between the core term, the core modifier, and the geomod, that's what comprises of a particular keyword. You've got different combinations and variations of that. If you haven't, Local Marketing Source has got a free tool where you can go and you can plug in each of these three components, and it will create a list of all the different combinations and permutations for you. And then if you went to a tool like Keyword Tool, or Trillian's Keyword Tracker, excuse me, you can get a whole variety of different data based off of that list. So back to commercial probability. I look at it a lot differently. I look at it from old school ways. I mean, that's some of the philosophies at Local Marketing Source, is that there's a lot of marketing principles that are fundamental marketing principles that apply. And when we start to look, and when we take a market, for example, and we want to determine the value of that market, well, we can go and grab that data pretty easy. We can go and get data on just about every single industry that's out there in the United States, from the U.S. Census. I forget the website. I think it's uscensus.gov. It's a government-run website, and we have how big that market is. You can make assumptions based off of population size, and then determine the size of the market for that industry in your particular area. Well, now that you've got what that is now, is that's going to be all the potential sales that could be found in that local market. And then we got to assume that some of these people are going to be finding this business through word of mouth. Some of them are going to be through offline methods. But a lot of that new business, a majority of that new business, is going to be found on the internet. So then we can apply that factor to it. I apply a 50% factor, but I have seen studies that indicate that new business as high as 80% can be found from the internet. So now that you can understand how much is going to be found on the internet for your local area, you then want to, because we're looking at search volume, 80%, with Google's market share, and 80% of traffic is going to be found through search on that, so you apply that factor. Now that you've got that, you can then even go a step further and say, well, if you are in the number 1 spot, you're going to get 40% of that final number. If you're in the number 2 spot, that's going to be 25%, and 15% for the number 3 spot. So not only are you going to get the value of a keyword, you can also get the value of the placement of that particular keyword. Yeah, well, why don't we get started? I talked for a while and I haven't even really started the update yet. But Google's made some updates to their category tool. First off, best practices when you're filling out profiles. Utilize as many categories as you possibly can that's a fit for that business. If you're restricted to 5, use all 5. But what Google has done now is they've integrated with third-party category solutions, such as, what do we have here, like Localese. They've taken all the categories from Yelp, Angie's List, InfoUSA, and NAIC codes. Now, NAICS, North American Industry Classification System. I believe that's what the acronym is for. When I was talking about the U.S. Census and the government and getting data for that, you can get that data with a NAIC code. And then finally, Google's also had Bing codes. And so this says, hey, you know, some of these other guys out there have a better understanding of these categories, especially that they have taken a classification system, guys. I thought that that was critical. That just reinstills the importance of categories and properly tagging and utilizing these and having consistency throughout the internet in your categories. Far too often do I see, even in my own business, clients that one profile they've got certain categories here, on another profile they've got the different categories. Well, that's ultimately going to confuse the search engines. You've got to maintain congruency across all mediums and forms. I mean, that's brand recognition. Again, you know, a marketing fundamental. Google has also added international categories for a variety of different countries as well. Now, when I talk about this next topic, this is just reinstilling the growth of and how big local internet marketing is. POS systems, point of sale systems. POS machines have always been viewed as cash registers. But with the advent of cloud computing and internet marketing, payment processing and different gateways, loyalty programs, cash rewards, collecting customer databases, email marketing, all of this is coming together. And it's coming together into the centroid of a POS system. Whereas a variety of companies, you know, we've been talking about Google's aspects. We haven't seen any announcements in the Google POS domain for over a year, but a year ago we were talking about all the acquisitions that Google was doing. So we're probably going to be seeing some real interesting rollouts over the next few months with Google. Most recently, in the last week, Amazon has made a really big bid for it. They've been working on something for a long, long time. The reason why is because they've got the most robust POS system that's out there that tracks customer loyalty. So for example, these companies will supply businesses with a cash machine, with a credit card system, with a payment gateway that they're also collecting on the transaction charges of all this. It integrates with their social media content and integrates with their customer database and their CRM tools. You know, there's going to be integration with Salesforce or Zoho and email systems such as Constant Contact. It's really robust and it's really big as to the opportunities that are arising from this. And these companies are supplying local businesses with the hardware. Now, this just doesn't apply to retail. If you're a plumber and you want to accept credit cards, has anybody been in a cab lately where they're taking credit cards and they just pull out their cell phone and they swipe it? They get your email address, they send you a receipt, you're on their list. You see where I'm going with all of this. But the variety of different companies have gotten into this and made different announcements. Apple is really big into it. Intuit, which owns QuickBooks, has got their own solution. Square is a new company that's come out and done this. PayPal has gotten into it. And they've all got their own little spin on exactly what solutions are available. But it's really interesting that Amazon is now in the game with such an integrated solution. All right, so recently, Microsoft invested $15 million into Foursquare. Why? Foursquare's mission is to be the centroid layer of location. That was the beauty of Foursquare. Facebook kind of added a little bit of aspects of location, but location is so important. Knowing where your customers are, for example, establishes your service area. We can change that, influence that through a variety of different reviews. All right, somebody also got the slap on the wrist for coming in a little bit late. Let's wait till their name pops up. New student. I hope, well, you know, I won't say your name. You know who it is, but we do record these calls, so you will want to go back and listen to the first 17 minutes of this. But guys, I want to emphasize this is just like class anywhere else. Please come on time to be able to get everything. Well, who am I to say anything, right? When I just said you can listen to the recording afterwards. I guess it has to do with the excitement. But Foursquare and the location aspects, it's you know, understanding where customers are is a very, very important aspect of marketing. Let's face it, geography is a really big segment when we segment our audience. What's interesting though is Microsoft, are they gonna buy Foursquare? Now that they've got a new CEO, which I'll talk about in a minute, Nadella. His background is search. He headed up Bing. You know, Microsoft is a big company, guys. Microsoft still exists. You don't hear much about them. You don't hear much about Bill Gates. Bill Gates stepped down as CEO, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. And then Steve Ballmer took over. It was Microsoft, not Microsoft, sorry. It was Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer that, well, Steve was one of Bill's first employees. I think he was hired in 1977, if I'm not mistaken. And then Steve took over the company for quite some time. So this is Microsoft's third CEO, and Nadella has been with the company for quite some time. And understanding the scope of Microsoft, I mean, I don't use their operating system, but I use their word processor, and it's fantastic. One of their biggest divisions is Xbox. My son has 2 Xboxes. There's a lot of revenue in that business, and then Bing, of course, being a major search engine that's out there that they've tried different stabs at, and they've actually done a pretty good job at it. I don't know who uses Bing, but now that Nadella has stepped up. And actually, on that note, that's one of the discussions today, is that the 3 big players in search, Google, Yahoo, and Bing, are all being run by CEOs that all come from a search background. Larry Page has stepped back up as the CEO of Google. Marissa over at Yahoo. Look at what she's done with Yahoo in the last year. They're a big player and a bigger threat now that she's been running that organization. And Nadella, Satya is his first name. You know, Microsoft was looking for quite some time to get some outside help. An outside CEO. I think there was some argument at one point they wanted to hire the CEO of Ford, and they decided to stay internally. So, I mean, a lot of people feel that Microsoft really needs a big shakeup. I don't know if I'm completely sold on that. It's, you know, search. Look at how fast Google has grown and how big Google has gotten. And we live in the information era. Search is all based on the predication of information. Answering questions. And, you know, I just put a post up on Facebook. I had a meeting Monday morning in my office. And, you know, one of the discussions that we had was, you know, we looked at different keywords. And when you change a combination and a permutation of a particular keyword, you get different results. And, you know, Google does not have all their shit together. even Monday throughout the day on Facebook, I was still getting, can't wait for the Broncos game. Like, people hadn't put a post up on there for 15 hours. And so, Facebook and Google, their algorithms are still not even close to where they need to be. I don't know if they'll ever get to where they need to be. I don't know. But it's 2014 and they have not gotten all their shit together. It kind of blows me away that it still is what it is at this date and time. Aren't these companies supposed to have the greatest geniuses on the planet? Well, maybe they do, but they still have not gotten the algorithms together. Yeah, they've gotten into things like predictive search, but the whole idea of search, we've had to recondition ourselves, and we had to think, okay, I want to get a piece of information. I want an answer. Search engines are all about answers. Look, that's what Ask tried to do, was develop a search engine based around asking questions. But us as our human psyche, we've had to program ourselves to kind of learn in a different fashion, to take our question, pull out the keywords in that question, put it into this thing called a search engine, and start to sift through a whole variety of different results. Why can't we just ask the question? Apple with Siri tried to do that. If you have Google Chrome, you can go ahead and ask questions and, what is the weather today? And then Google will come back to you and say, today's weather is going to be snowy and a little bit chilly. But that's the way we work as humankind. We want an answer. We think in our heads and seek out, and we go to a search engine to get answers. And so I'm sure that the search engines are strongly working towards mimicking human behavior and human thought to give these answers. All right, moving on. Google's latest manual action penalty. It's against spammy structured markup. Now, if you don't know what structured markup is, you better get on the ball and start learning it, because it's important. But for example, authorship or geotagging or reviews. There's a variety of different codes that we can put into the HTML. For example, if we're taking a review and we want to review and put it on our website, we're going to wrap it around with certain structured markup, certain HTML code. And when a search engine reads that, it's going to recognize that as a particular review and go and try and verify that. Authorship, it ties your website to a person, a real person on a social network that has a whole background on them. So these different types of rich snippets are very important, but I guess that they're being abused. And I can tell you a lot of different black hat strategies. I can't sit here and tell you a black hat strategy for rich snippets because I just don't know. I could probably speculate and brainstorm different ways to influence and fool the search engines. We teach at Local Marketing Source. I mean, what's real is real is real. Don't try to dupe anybody. You're always going to win in the end. And another one come on late. We're going to start these calls at 3:30. Sometimes certain people that know me, I'm not somebody that's late, but I'm not usually early either. And if I'm having to get somewhere, one story I like to tell is my grandmother's funeral. I made it the last minute, walking right through the doors. But I had, it was a 3-hour drive, and I think I did it in, an hour and a half. And I had a little sports car, and I was up in Canada, and I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget the way I drove. I was doing 160, 170 kilometers an hour. That's 100 and 105 miles an hour. I was young. I was stupid. Really, really stupid. But yeah, I showed up and I made it on time. I got there on time no matter what. And that's, where I come from, that's what you do. You're not late, ever. Just says something about you, I think. And then, sorry, a little slaps on the wrist. I forget stuff, though. All right, last thing here. Oh yeah, I was just going to finish up with structured markup. That you want to do it right. Don't try to dupe the search engine. So I guess Google has really enhanced their search engines and applied a penalty for spammy structured markup. And if you know any strategies that can dupe the search engines through different markups and rich snippets. One, I don't want to know about it. I don't need to know about it. But two, don't do it. Don't do it. Whoops. Oh, well, there you guys can see me for a second. I just hit the button. Hi, LMS students. I didn't mean to hit that. But I guess we can leave it on, right? I'm recording the video anyhow. But yeah, just don't. It's not something that is really condoned. And then the last thing, now that you get to see me just at the end of the show, huh? I did a search today. You can go and check this out for yourself. Do a search. Neil Young, Cinnamon Girl, and boom, right on the SERP, you're gonna see embedded a YouTube video. All right. What's interesting about that search is that it utilizes a lot of the real estate. So Google really has to know that you're looking for a video. Otherwise, it's cannibalizing itself from a lot of the real estate that's out there. But what's important to know here is as well, Google is really trying to display the information and Google wants to be a destination source, not just a page full of links. The big whole irony of Google that we talk about all the time is they don't give credit to pages that are full of links, but that's all that Google really is a page full of links. Well, not so much. I get frustrated when my buddy comes over and we're talking sports and he goes to ESPN and click to get the score, as opposed to just typing in the team name of Google and boom, it's up right there. You know exactly where everything is. You can expand stuff up there. The weather. Just type in, what's the weather going to be? I utilize Google Chrome, and I talk to what is that? There's no way there should be mosquitoes flying around. I guess I must have some heat current or something, and dust. But you look on the right-hand side of the Google SERP, and when you put in a brand name or something like that, they're pulling information from Wikipedia. Yelp has completely disregarded them and said, no, you're not going and you're not grabbing any information from us. So it's been a real controversy. I know City Search was in there and they were banning Google for quite some time. But that's really what Google's looking for. Now on the local side of it, this just reconfirms to me the value of video at Google. Remember Google bought YouTube in 2005. YouTube came out, I think 2003, but they purchased them in 2005. And this is one of the acquisitions that I looked at and I went, holy cow, that's way out of Google's league, but where are they going with this? I didn't quite understand it. Do you know that the #2 search engine on the planet is YouTube? Google obviously being #1. So how much has YouTube come into our lives since Google's acquisition in 2005? YouTube, actually my son here right now, that's what he's watching is YouTube. He's got channels on there that he subscribes to and watches different channels on YouTube. My television viewing habits. A year ago, I thought I would try something and get rid of cable. I thought I would give it a try because every time I try something new, like voice over IP, I've tried 3 different times and gone back. Now I'm again back over at voice over IP on the 4th time, and it seems to be working out now with the technology. But my television viewing habits with YouTube, it's awesome. I mean, there's so much information on YouTube, and it's not regulated by the FCC. I was going to say CRTC. That's in Canada, the Canadian Radio and Telecommunications Commissions. Same stuff. But by Google stealing 66% of the real estate on a search engine results page to embed a video from YouTube is a really big deal on their part. These guys, they don't change a pixel on their website without doing extensive data research. So I think that this is a really big deal. And on the local side of it, I've been predicating for quite some time that businesses have to work towards creating 5 different videos. We've talked about all 5 of those videos and the importance of them. Video, I remember reading sources before that videos on a local page represent about 15% of the weight of ranking. It's a big deal. Freshness of videos, communication. When we start to look at all the different elements of, the different ways to influence human behavior. You know, we've got the words we say, we've got our tonality, and then we've got our physiology. And the words we say is about 7%, the tonality is about 38%, and our physiology is about a 55% weight. Well, guess what? You guys can see me right now. You can see the physiology that's going on. You can see my hands going, and the wrinkles on my forehead move, and then you can hear the tone of my voice as opposed to just reading an article. And speaking of that, it was funny. Oh, I forget who the actress was, but I was just watching this segment on YouTube that actually made me laugh. And I don't watch Ellen DeGeneres, Ellen, but she's funny, and I think she's a fantastic woman. And she had this actress. God, I wish I could remember it right now. But read different things, and she asked her, "Hey, read a recipe like you're a porn star," or read directions to the bus stop as if you're a woman in labor. And to hear this actress go through just the different motions of changing those words, it was so powerful and so funny. These are things that we just really got to remember when we're in sales and marketing. And video gives you that 55%, in my opinion. If you're a chiropractor and you're creating something and you're looking right into the camera and you're talking about what you do and what you've done, or why as a patient you want to come see me, that energy exuberates itself. It gets pushed and it goes through the screen in a variety of different ways. So video is very, very important for local businesses, and I think that is a factor that's only going to increase in time. So, having said that, guys, that's going to come to the conclusion of this week's update. I'm just going to take a few seconds here. I'll come back and see what types of questions we've got. Oh, no, before we go, the weekly local tip overview. I guess I could probably put this into the video once we render it, but the website is bit.ly/local cheat sheet. So that's bit.ly, bit.ly, / the next is all one word, local cheat sheet. Type that into your web browser. You're going to be able to download a local profiles cheat sheet that we've created at Local Marketing Source. Get that down, have that by your side, have it memorized. It's a good best practices Tells you the do's and the don'ts of profiles. When I talk about video, it mentions the 5 different videos that are relevant. Go and grab that. So again, that's bit.ly, that's bit.ly, bit.ly/local cheat sheet. Local cheat sheet is one word.
Watching the local marketing industry update. We've got these things coming out every single week. So if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for our free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.